Hey guys, it's Jack. Welcome back. Today I want to answer the question, is it worth learning languages anymore? As you probably know, Google Translate came out with that app where you can hold your phone up like you're about to take a picture and it will translate the language in front of you into English on your screen. So you just look through your screen and you can still see English no matter where in the world you go. As apps like this continue to improve and get better, it kind of raises the question, is it worth it for people to spend years and years learning and perfecting a language that the computer can fix for them in a matter of seconds? Another consideration on top of that for English speakers is English is already kind of the language of travel. When I first started traveling, I would get kind of insulted when people would speak English to me. I'd get really frustrated when people wouldn't speak to me in the language of the country because I felt like they must assume I'm too stupid to learn it. I quickly realized that English is actually the travel language that people use. I would listen to people in the hostel, a French person and a Japanese person, and the language they'd be able to connect with is English. I also realized that a lot of people loved practicing English with me. That raised a second question for English speakers who already speak a language that a lot of people know. Is it worth it putting a lot of time and effort into a language which people might not even speak as much, and a lot of people in that country would enjoy speaking English with you? Does it make sense for you to put a lot of effort into learning their language if maybe that's something that's not really needed? So I think there's a couple things to take into consideration. First is the communication aspect. If our only purpose with the language was to get something in return, like try to order a sandwich in a foreign country and get the sandwich, it would make no sense to learn the language. But that is really not why we learn languages. So the first reason I think we learn languages is to communicate. Yes, there are so many different ways to communicate, painting or music or body language, but actual word-to-word communication is so important too. Different languages have different components that they can express better. Okay, so in Korea, I wouldn't hear "how are you" as much as "have you eaten rice?" which might sound kind of funny to someone who doesn't eat rice very much. But for someone who loves rice and who kind of understands that rice is kind of a way of saying food, "have you eaten" sounds really, really warm. I learned it in Goje, so 밥 먹나? That food is a way to show love and show care. Asking "have you eaten" is so much more personal than "how are you?" Learning phrases like that, and that's a small example, but learning phrases like that can make a huge difference. Learning languages can give us new ways to communicate thoughts and ideas. Fun fact, Russians have more words for the color blue, and there was a study done and they actually can see more shades of blue, maybe from the language, maybe that's why they have it in the language, but language can actually impact how we see physical reality. They can actually see more shades of blue in this study that they did. That's so fascinating to me. On top of that, we have to remember that the languages themselves have a certain melody. So one of my friends, she mentioned that she knows like 6 languages, and she had this gorgeous British accent, but she was telling me that her mother would yell at her in, I think, Arabic when she was really, really angry because it sounded so strong. And I love that image of using the sounds of a language themselves to help you communicate what you're trying to say. I've heard a lot of people say they love French because it sounds so romantic. The point is that every language has its own melody, and we can actually use that melody to help us express ourselves. So learning languages not only helps us to communicate in new ways with new phrases and communicate with new sounds, kind of add a new melody to our conversations, but it also is a really powerful way to transmit culture. I believe that for a culture to maintain its complete integrity, it needs to keep its language. There's something about the way the words, the nuances of the words, the phrases that they use, like Korean's phrase, "have you eaten rice?" that's so tied into the culture, you really need the language to fully express all the cultural nuances. And I think that's so beautiful. Because language is it's so powerfully interwoven and connected with the culture, it can actually be a really beautiful way to teach that culture to others. My grandma came from the Philippines. She didn't really feel like it was necessary to teach us Tagalog, which I feel like is kind of sad. I really wish I had that language and had that way of expressing myself. But she felt like it was a dying language. She was really proud of her family for learning English. She became an English teacher. So I think at the end of the day, I'm not saying we have to be experts or crazy fluent polyglots or anything like that, although that sounds amazing to me. Don't learn a language if you're just trying to order a panini effectively. There are more effective ways to do that. But I think if you're interested in a more rich form of communication, if you're interested in the way the words bring their own melody to what you're saying, if you're interested in culture, then language can be a really powerful, powerful tool to help you get a richer, deeper life. So at the end of the day, I'm going to keep learning languages whether or not language apps get completely perfected. I want to be able to bring that depth and kind of level up my own life through languages. It's not always easy, I know. I spend hours of flashcard frustration and studying on my computer and having really embarrassing first-time conversations. But at the end of the day, when you can communicate with somebody, have a richer understanding of their culture because of the language that you've worked so hard to have, it's all worth it. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. What do you think about learning languages? Is it worth it or not? Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.